What are we talking about today?
What are we talking about?
Well, the news of the day. Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy that we're talking about this again?
Again, yeah. And we'll always talk about it because we'll never really know exactly what happened, I don't think. But
probably not. And if Trump has his way, everybody will just stop talking about it. Are we still talking about this guy, this Jeffrey Epstein?
Yeah, come on.
It's just unbelievable that he would think that it's a smart political strategy to just try to shoot it down like this when it's obviously something that everybody is aware of and wants to come to light. All the details want to be uncovered, all that kind of stuff.
MAGA is even calling him out, Come on.
Yeah, it's like threatening to split the MAGA base that he's saying all this stuff.
Yep. And that's the thing. I mean, it kind of... It seems like a little bit of guilt on his part that he won't release it, Although...
It's the first thing that makes him look guilty that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So...
Can't say that for certain, but, I mean, that's just the way it seems.
So when did you first become aware of the Epstein story?
Man, much later than, most, I think. I don't think I knew his name until probably 2017, 18.
I think that's when most people became aware of him. I think that I was probably around the same time.
Yeah.
I don't think I caught the 2007 stuff back in Florida and all that kind of stuff. I don't think it was something I was aware of.
Right.
But there was people writing articles about him, like the Vanity Fair article that actually never surfaced and never came out that was supposed to back in like the early 2000s.
They shushed that too, somehow.
Yeah. How does somebody do the kinds of things he was into, both financially and with women and underage women, that he was doing without it ever coming to light or so many things getting shushed?
Friends in high or low places.
Powerful places?
Yeah, there you go.
It's interesting when I started looking into it, the first place that his name really comes into the public record, or when people start looking into his history, is that he was a pretty high-achieving high school student, and then he went to a couple of different schools. He went to Cooper Union in Manhattan, and then he went to NYU, their Courant Institute, but he dropped out.
Yeah, he never finished, did he?
Yeah, and so he drops out, and then he gets hired to teach at the Dalton School.
With no experience, no degree.
Math and physics. Completely unqualified at one of the most prestigious high schools in the nation.
By Donald Barr, right?
Yeah, Donald Barr is the one who hired him. Donald Barr, father of Bill Barr. Most people know Bill Barr as the Attorney General under Donald Trump, but that story with Donald and Bill Barr goes way back because Donald Barr was in the OSS during World War II. The OSS is the predecessor to the CIA.
Right.
And so right away, in the beginning of this story, we're talking about a connection, albeit a loose connection, to intelligence.
But what do they say? If there's so many corroborating things, it can't be just coincidence.
Yeah, people say that where there's smoke, there's fire, but when you're talking about like proving something,
yeah, that's a good point.
It's all the evidence we have around the Epstein stuff, for the most part, is circumstantial evidence. But how high of a mountain of circumstantial evidence do you need before you make some conclusions that would seem definitive?
Yeah, how about the book that Barr wrote, the sci-fi book?
Oh, yeah. So Donald Barr wrote a book about an alien civilization that had, through technology and advancements, become so advanced that they were basically bored, and they entertained themselves by all kinds of weird slavery and sexual stuff, right?
Yeah. Like rich billionaires.
That's crazy.
It's just a lot of coincidence,
Yeah, what was that book called? Space Relations was the name of that book. Published in 1973. Slightly gothic interplanetary tale which depicts a planet ruled by oligarchs engaging in sex slavery and other depravities.
Sounds straight out of like Heavy Metal magazine or something.
Yeah, but again, it's like another, like, oh, he was in with the OSS, and then there's all kind of weird sexual stuff already in the beginning of this tale.
And you gave this guy a job with no experience.
Huh.
No degree.
I wonder why. So, that's strange. And then, Bill Barr, his son...
Not to be confused with Bill Burr.
Definitely not. Bill Barr is not nearly as funny.
Yeah.
But Bill Barr and Epstein had a kind of loose relationship, even dating back to when they were kids. They went to the same, like, I don't know if it was an elementary school or what it was called.
I saw that too.
But they had kind of loosely been around each other, although there's no like definitive connections besides apparently the Blaze Network had put out some photo that showed them as classmates at one point.
Okay.
So it's like, how far back does that really go with the Barr family? Did they really know each other way back?
Yeah.
It would appear so, but again, circumstantial, right?
Yeah. Still painting a pretty vivid picture through circumstantial, but
yeah,
you're right. It is. We have to admit that is circumstantial.
And then Bill Barr is going through law school, and right when he gets out of law school, his first real thing that he did after he gets out of law school, you know what that was?
Join the CIA, or
he worked as a liaison for the CIA between the CIA and Congress during the Pike and Church commissions.
Oh wow!
And that was where the CIA really got pushed back into their lane because they were way out of control before that, and the Pike and Church commissions reeled them back in. And so he was legal counsel, really, for the CIA at that point.
Wow.
And so, again, here we are, another connection with intelligence.
Yeah, what do you have to do to be the lawyer for the CIA?
Well, I think having a dad who was in the OSS helps.
Well, yeah, probably so.
And, you know, what they say about intelligence is once you're in intelligence, even if you retire, air quotes, retire, you're still in.
Yeah, you're a lifer.
Yeah, so I would assume.
I love how you do air quotes, intelligence.
Yeah. I would assume that Donald Barr, even though he'd long been retired, was still influential in the CIA. It would seem that would make sense.
Sure.
And so there's that stuff with the Barrs. He, not surprisingly, Epstein gets in trouble at the the Dalton School for inappropriate behavior with students.
Mm-hmm.
Go figure. And there's complaints being made of him showing up at high school parties and wanting to get on, man, let's party.
Yeah.
With the underage kids. So he liked them young right from the beginning.
Yeah, not surprising at all.
Yeah.
And then doesn't he get fired?
Yeah, he was asked to leave.
Yeah.
That was, let's see, what year was that? I don't see it, but it looks like 73 to 75 was his time at Dalton.
Okay.
And then in 76, he joins Bear Stearns as a junior assistant to a floor trader at the American Stock Exchange. He's kind of like the hot commodity at the company and rises through the ranks pretty quickly.
But once again, he didn't get. I mean, struggling here. He didn't have any credentials to get that job, correct?
No, not really.
Yeah. So we were wondering how. And who's the guy that hired him again?
It doesn't necessarily say. Well, it says at the Dalton School he was in connection with a student's father was introduced to Ace Greenberg, who was a senior partner at Bear Stearns. So, again, back to the Dalton School connections to get him that job.
Yeah.
He didn't exactly just continue on as a trader. They put him into kind of a special division of his own, which was kind of like money recovery and different things. But pretty quickly he got in trouble again. Right. He was accused of some financial crimes and
basically money laundering, right?
Pretty close to that kind of type of thing, and he was pretty promptly dismissed from the company.
Yeah. And then he just kind of did his own thing, right? And
the 80s are kind of empty, man. There's not a lot on Epstein in the 80s, but
he was turning down $600 million clients, though. I know that.
That might have been a little later. That might have been a little later, but in the 80s, he was talking about, he was telling his friends anyway, that he was a financial bounty hunter. Mm-hmm. What in the world is a financial bounty hunter? What do you think about when you hear that term?
Somebody that goes and takes money from people. I don't know. That's the thing I think about. But I mean, I know what he was doing or what he said he was doing.
Yeah,
but that's a weird way for him to describe himself. You know.
Well, it's kind of a scandalous type of a name to give yourself, and basically he was saying that he was specializing in helping people recover lost funds,
right, and making sure that they don't lose money when they have so much money, right?
And then also people who had illicit funds, helping them to hide those funds.
Right.
I mean, where would you have learned something like that?
Yeah.
And I think that he learned a lot of that from Robert Maxwell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Enter Robert Maxwell, stage left. He's like such a unique character, man. Like I don't know. I kind of respect this guy.
Robert Maxwell?
Yeah. I mean, I did until I figured out what he was doing eventually. But his story getting up to there is pretty cool.
Yeah. Super interesting guy, right?
Yeah.
So he's born in Croatia and flees his home as the Second World War is getting ready to kick off. Flees to France first, and then as the Germans invade, flees to Britain. Mm-hmm. Born Jan Ludwig Hyman Benjamin Hoek.
Yeah, he changed his name a bunch of times.
But when he was in Britain, he joined the military.
Yeah.
He won a bunch of medals and was commended for his valor multiple times. I guess the second highest honor in British military is one of the medals that he has. He stormed some machine gun nest almost on his own, and that's why he got that one. He was
Seems like a legit hero. You know?
He did. He was also a member of Parliament from 1964 to 1974 in Britain. And so that seems all legit.
Then he starts the publishing company, right?
Yeah. He has, let's see, where did he start here? He started a publishing company, the Daily Mirror.
Which is still huge in the UK.
Yeah. And so he was all over the communications. And, if you're in charge of, if you're the owner of the Daily Mirror, you have the ability to put out whatever stories you want or not put out whatever stories you want, so you can shape narrative. He also seemed to have well-documented connections to intelligence.
Mm-hmm. Israeli intelligence?
Israeli intelligence. Yeah. Jewish guy. A bunch of his family died in the Holocaust.
Right.
And so he...
When did that start with him?
I don't have a...
When he kind of became famous and rich? Or was it before that?
I don't know when he started up the Daily Mirror. But it was after the fall of the Iron Curtain that he really got involved in not just spy stuff, but like organized crime stuff as well. He was moving weapons, excellent, right? and an expert at moving both money and goods behind, underneath of the regulations and getting around regulations and
sure.
He was doing all kinds of stuff like that. He's alleged to have worked with. Some people allege he was labeled as a super spy for Mossad, a possible triple agent, with his loyalties always being with Mossad, but also kind of feigning loyalty to MI6
and Russia even, right?
KGB and all that kind of stuff. It was wild, And
such an interesting guy, man.
Heavily involved in the theft of a program called Promise.
Oh yeah,
with no e on the end, but that's a intelligence. It's a U.S. developed intelligence gathering software, and Mossad.
One of the first, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Mossad modified it to be able to backdoor into almost anybody's personal information. which is just wild.
Yeah, and it's wild that they've been able to do that for that long, right? Like,
he was also alleged to have been an informant on Ari Ben Menashe, who was the guy who leaked the information about the Israeli nuclear program, and then also helped set him up in what was, I think, labeled a honeypot operation to get him to a hotel, so that Mossad could kidnap him and bring him back to Israel.
Wow. So very loyal to Israel.
Very. Very. The connections that he had with the KGB were kind of how he got involved with the Eastern Bloc countries after the wall fell. And so when he would facilitate these deals, he would take like a 15 to 20% cut.
Yeah. Opportunist, man.
Man, he made money everywhere.
And became a billionaire, right? Eventually. Or close to it.
Linked to the Bulgarian Neva network.
Mm-hmm.
A syndicate involving arms dealing, prostitution, drugs, contract killings. He had ties to the Mega Group, which who we'll talk about a little bit later, Leslie Wexner started, and that's a Jewish influence organization that was highly connected and also connected to Meyer Lansky, who is a known gangster.
Man. Yeah. Meyer Lansky. And it all circles back to Epstein, children. We'll get there.
But Robert Maxwell, he also, toward the end of his life, he just couldn't keep his hands out of the pot, and he stole $400 million from his own company's pension funds.
Jeez.
To prop up his holdings, because he was starting to lose money in other areas. As he got older, things didn't go so well for him. And then, apparently, he thought that Israel and the Mossad owed him something. So when he got caught with the $400 million theft and had to pay it back, he went and tried to blackmail the Mossad into helping him.
Which you never, ever do, guys.
And right after that, he mysteriously fell off his yacht and died.
Yeah, middle of the night, by himself, out on his yacht. Fell in the water and died.
It's not suspicious.
Not at all.
I mean, you threaten the most powerful spy agency in the world, which I would say Mossad probably is. What do you know?
It reaches farther than any of ours, for sure.
Definitely more ruthless.
Yeah.
We kind of mentioned before we got started here that the Mossad had this operation to go after the terrorists who'd killed their Olympic athletes. The operation was called Black September, and they hunted those guys down for years until they were all dead.
Isn't that what Munich is about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That movie Munich, yeah, absolutely.
With Eric Bana.
And that movie's just dark too.
Yeah, it is, man. It's not a fun watch.
No, and the effect that it had on the main character in that movie of hunting those guys for years and years,
never seeing his family.
Yeah, terrible.
But that's how ruthless they are. Making a point.
But then, when Maxwell dies under these suspicious circumstances, he has a lavish funeral in Jerusalem attended by intelligence figures like Yitzhak Shamir, who was in charge of Mossad at one point.
The who's who, yeah. And they all respected him, for sure.
And he was given almost like a state funeral and buried on the Mount of Olives.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So,
hey, you got to go, but we respect you. We're going to send you out well.
We're going to whack you, mob style, but then we're going to give you this lavish funeral and bury you on the Mount of Olives. It's just wild.
Didn't one of those guys say that nobody had done more for the Jewish state than he had?
Yeah, I think it was Yitzhak Shamir said that.
Yeah. Crazy to think about.
Yeah. And so why Robert Maxwell is so connected, besides other things we've already talked about, is that his youngest daughter, who was his favorite child, was Ghislaine Maxwell, who's in prison now, serving sentence for crimes associated with Jeffrey Epstein.
Epstein's number 2, right?
She was like the facilitator, and some people speculate she's the one that was in charge. She's the one that ran everything. She was the facilitator of everything.
I can see that just because Epstein's probably not trying to do a bunch of work,
Yeah. It's just all pretty insane stuff, man.
And what is she actually charged with? Do you know? It's got to be prostitution. It's got to be soliciting a minor for prostitution kind of thing. But is it like a sex trafficking?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think it might have been all related to Virginia Jeffrey. Like most of the stuff we know about his actual crimes and the actual hard evidence that we have comes from Virginia Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Who also mysteriously died of apparent suicide about a year and a half ago.
All these people we're going to talk about.
Should we say suicide or should we say she was suicided?
Suicided?
Yeah.
As the young kids say, opted out. That's what Cormac says all the time. I'm like, he says, like, he points a gun at you, shoots, and he goes, opted out. I was like, I didn't have an option there, dude. I think opted out means suicide.
So the official story of Epstein meeting Ghislaine Maxwell is in 1991.
91, okay.
1991. And that is right after her father died.
His funeral.
She moved to the United States, and Epstein was apparently the shoulder to lean on, helped her recover.
So Epstein didn't know him at all? Didn't know Robert Maxwell?
I think there's evidence that he did.
Yeah.
But it's not real clear. There's nothing that's real hard evidence, but there's links.
They sure didn't make it known.
Right. There's loose links. It's nothing that's real solid. But then, allowing her to lean on his shoulders to recover, I think, became a relationship.
Sure.
They became romantically involved at some point. He describes her as his main girlfriend. And then pretty clearly she was involved in recruiting young girls for him, and it would make sense if that's the scumbaggery you were into, that you would have a woman who would kind of help you along there as you try to get girls into the fold.
Yeah, it's got to be harder for a guy to recruit these women.
The first time they were seen attending an event together was at a donor event at the White House during Clinton's presidency.
And how many times was he at the White House during Clinton's presidency? Can we say this?
17 times.
17
times between 2003 and 2005.
Jesus.
Mostly involved with Mark Middleton, who was a special aide to Bill Clinton.
You guys have to know that the Clintons are corrupt by now. If you don't, just Google. That's all you have to do. It's not that hard.
Mark Middleton was also suicided, it would seem, jumping to the end of his story. But he was the one who facilitated the relationship between Bill Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein. And we don't need to go too far down the rabbit hole of Mark Middleton, except to say that one of his ranch workers found him hanging from a tree with by an extension cord around his neck and a shotgun wound to his chest.
A little overkill.
Mark Middleton was not an athletic type of guy. He had very physical limitations. He was not somebody who could have pulled that off. He also had, according to friends, no knowledge of firearms. Yeah. And so how do you shoot yourself in the chest with a shotgun while hanging from the neck?
Hanged, yeah. I don't think so. Sounds a little fishy to me.
We've gotten to quite a few suicides here, or suspicious deaths.
Yeah, in like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I promise, we are going to do the Clinton episode. I'm actually really looking forward to that one.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the Clinton body count, but Mark Middleton is definitely one of those.
Yeah. I saw this meme today. It had Hillary, she posted, "Release the Epstein files." And then somebody did a fake, Bill Clinton account. It said, "Honey."
Yeah, I saw one of the things when they released that doctored film of Epstein's cell recently. They
a whole minute is missing. Like, what?
Yeah, they AI'd Hillary Clinton walking into the cell.
Nice. I guess we need to talk about all that too. What has been released, and but we'll get to that
with the Clintons.
No, with Epstein's stuff.
Yeah, we'll definitely get to that. Let's kind of follow through here on the timeline. In the mid-'90s, he was still associated with Clinton, and he was seen at a lot of different fundraising events. apparently openly talking about currency stabilization, often with people in the immediate Clinton circle. In the 90s, in the mid 2000s, he was often seen with Donald Trump out in the nightlife in New York.
Bring that big old elephant into the room. But that's the thing. Like, what do we know about his relationship with Trump?
We just know that they were seen out on the party scene together. But we also know that Trump's not a drinker and not into drugs,
and he's never been to the island, right?
And not according to any information that we have, and we have most of the flight logs. So he's never been to the island. I mean, Trump liked to go out and have a good time. He was one of those guys that you could always see in the clubs.
Yeah,
it's kind of strange that he wasn't a drinker doing that.
He gets high on power more than anything else, I feel like.
Influence.
Yeah.
Epstein,
but I think that we have to make that known because there's so many people right now on the left saying that, Trump is hiding this because he's on the list or whatever, which he might be, but there is no evidence to that argument so far that we know of. Of course, they're suppressing a ton of evidence, but
there's not even the circumstantial evidence that we've been talking about so far. It's just pictures of them out, and what does that say?
Yeah.
Standing next to somebody.
As
there's also videos and stuff of them yucking it up a little bit. But
right.
I mean, but then again, in 2017, Epstein made a claim that Trump was his closest friend for 10 years.
And that was after he got imprisoned, right?
Well, and then Trump at the time, when Epstein said that, Trump was president. So he's trying to, cozy himself up to power again.
Right.
For Trump's part of that, he said, Jeff, he likes to party. He likes the girls young. No, he said, we're fairly similar, except he likes them young. So he made that distinction and separation. And I think that was after the 2007 problems in Florida, but before the more recent problems in the late teens, 20-teens.
Okay.
In the early 2000s, Epstein invested in $57 million in Bear Stearns high-grade structured credit strategies enhanced leverage hedge fund, which was one of the things that brought down Bear Stearns. It contributed to it. That specific fund was kind of like a Ponzi scheme. So I don't know if his contribution was fraudulent or he was trying to collapse them. I don't really know the particulars of how that collapsed. Do you remember any of that stuff about Bear Stearns and how they collapsed?
Well, I remember, some of the people that worked with him there said that he had a history of just being a blackmailer, and he just kind of would come in and he would use things to blackmail others that just kind of got him where he needed to be. I don't know if that's what we're talking about specifically here, but I know there's a history of that, and he was pretty well known for that, right? I mean...
Yeah, it seemed like leverage was his thing.
Yeah, just having something on somebody at all times.
In 2005, a 14-year-old girl and her parents reported to the Palm Beach police that Epstein molested her at his mansion in Palm Beach, Florida.
How old?
14.
Jeez.
This prompts a police investigation into sexual misconduct with minors. October 20th, 2005... the Palm Beach police execute a warranty on his Florida home. Several computers believing to contain names and photos of victims are missing, and it's widely suspected that Epstein was tipped off about the search. So again, how does somebody get tipped off? I mean, what kind of people get tipped off?
People with too much power. People with all the right friends, right?
Gangsters.
Yeah.
Intelligence operatives. I mean, is there many other types of people that would have that kind of influence and sway?
No.
I mean, politicians, I guess.
Yeah, but very high on the list, politicians.
Which at that time, I don't know that he had a lot of... 2005, I don't know that he had a lot of connection with very many.
He's getting some help, for sure. And that begs the question, how much of a scumbag do you have to be to help this guy? Right?
Or how much blackmail is hanging over your head.
Well, yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I mean, if somebody threatens your family, what would you do?
May 2006, Palm Beach police file a probable cause affidavit accusing Epstein of 4 counts of unlawful sex with minors and 1 count of molestation. It gets referred to the grand jury, an unusual step for such cases. That's also interesting.
Yeah. Not everything gets sent to the grand jury.
So maybe the DA realized that this guy was getting help, and that's why it needed to be more visible and go to the grand jury.
Maybe so. That's a good point. Huh. I didn't think about it that way. But yeah, I mean, we got multiple offenses here, and he's never had to do time, never had to really own up to it at all. And then 08 comes along, right?
Yeah, but the grand jury got testimony from one accuser that turned into an indictment on a single count of solicitation of prostitution. The FBI opens a case called Operation Leap Year, and it involves multiple accusers across states, including Florida and New York at that point. Okay. So this is like
this starts the investigation.
Yeah, it's really starting to ramp up now. And in the summer of 2007 and through the summer of 2008, there's all kinds of stuff going on with this investigation. And then Epstein's legal team, including Alan Dershowitz,
who was at all the parties, right? Old Dershowitz, who represented OJ, was one of.
Dershowitz said he got massages from the Epstein girls.
Yeah.
But he kept his underwear on.
Oh, yeah. That's what Bill Gates said, too, right? Yeah, Bill Gates said it was non-sexual massages, too.
Well, Dershowitz helped to negotiate this non-prosecution agreement with the U.S. Attorney, Alex Acosta, who later, under testimony in Congress, admitted that the reason he negotiated that NPA was because he was told that Epstein belonged to intelligence.
Yeah.
What the heck does that mean?
Well, and I have a little bit of insider here. My dad knows Dershowitz.
Does he?
They've worked together before. Actually, Dershowitz just tried to come in at the end and like take credit for something that my dad did. He represented Woody Harrelson's dad, Charles Harrelson.
Okay.
For killing a Supreme Court judge, Judge Wood. And Dershowitz kind of came in and like acted like he was doing something, but he wasn't. My dad said Dershowitz is the biggest piece he's ever met in his life. So, and he's met a lot of crooked people, you know.
Wow. So,
I guess what I'm trying to say is take what Alan Dershowitz says with a grain of salt.
Definitely. So, as a result of this agreement, Epstein pleads guilty to 1 count of solicitation of prostitution and 1 count of solicitation of prostitution of a minor under 18.
Mm-hmm.
That should get you some years, right?
Yeah,
well, he's sentenced to 18 months in jail with a year of community service and is required to register as a sex offender. That's a slap on the wrist.
Did he even serve jail time?
He did.
But in like some nice little...
But it was mostly like a country club.
Yeah.
He had his own wing of the jail where he stayed. And he only had to come back in and check in at night and stay the night there and was allowed to be out most of the day. What in the world? How do you get that treatment when you're busted for soliciting prostitution of a minor?
Yeah. And this is the point where I think, like, wouldn't these higher-ups, these people in the know, wouldn't they distance themselves from that person instead of protecting that person? But then you realize why. Because they are involved in it all, too, right? I mean, that's really the only explanation.
Involved or
blackmail.
Or blackmailed.
Yeah.
Or blackmailed. They did this agreement in violation of the Crime Victims' Rights Act, where victims are supposed to know when you do a deal with somebody who's perpetrated crimes like this.
Right.
They didn't even tell them. And so in July of 2008, the victims learn of the plea deal, and they file an emergency petition under the Crime Victims' Rights Act. And it really basically went nowhere.
Yeah. It's really alarming to see how easy it is for the justice system to just push something on down the road and just to make it disappear. How easy that is for them.
In this 18-month sentence, he was allowed to leave for up to 12 hours a day, 6 days a week.
Man. Like doing all the same things he got convicted of,
After that's all over, he organizes a conference on his private island the island's called Little St. James, but the conference is called the Mind Shift Conference, and it's attended by scientists. I don't know these names, but I'm sure scientists do. Murray Gell-Mann, Leonard Londinow, Gerald J. Sussman, and he also donates $25,000 to the Clinton Foundation and is noted as a part of the original group that conceived the Clinton Global Initiative.
That's cute. And $25,000? Like what? What is that? You're a billionaire, but you donate $25,000?
Yeah, my understanding as I looked into Epstein's ties with the Clinton Foundation is that he helped them figure out how to take donations and push the donations out to NGOs that could then be funneled back into the foundation as personal money for the Clintons. So it's basically how to launder the money. And totally and vastly increase their wealth through the Clinton Foundation.
That's crazy.
I think
that's why the people hired him when, nobody knew who he was or he didn't have any work backing. He was the guy that you go see when you want to move money and you don't want anybody to know about it, right?
Right. Shortly after that is when Virginia Jeffrey filed a defamation suit against Ghislaine Maxwell, alleging that Maxwell defamed her by calling her a liar about her claims against Epstein when she was a teenager. And this lawsuit is one of the ways that we know about a bunch of the things that Epstein did. It caused a discovery.
Yeah.
And we ended up getting a lot of the stuff out in public. And then in November of 2018, the Miami Herald published a series of investigative articles revisiting Epstein's plea deal, and it focuses on Acosta's role, now U.S. Secretary of Labor under Trump, in identifying approximately 80 victims. And this kind of really, at that point, is when most people learn of Epstein, and it ramps up people's interest in who he is and all of his illicit activities. They also, at that point, the Victims' Rights Act thing pops back up because it went nowhere previously, and a federal judge rules that Acosta had violated the Crime Victims' Rights Act by not letting them know about that plea deal. And then the Justice Department opens an investigation into the plea deal by federal prosecutors. So this is starting to unravel at this point. And that's when it was getting national interest.
Yeah. So thank God for that.
Right.
For that lawsuit. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, that lawsuit by the victims, and then also the stuff by Virginia Roberts Jeffrey is why we know most of the stuff we actually know, the actual hard evidence about what he did.
Yeah.
He was arrested July 6th in 2019. Federal agents. He was returning from Paris at that point, and he was charged with sex trafficking and conspiracy to commit sex trafficking.
So from 2008 to 2018, it just kind of went dark. We don't really know his movements much.
That is the time period in which a lot of this travel on what they call the Lolita Express was taking place, where Bill Clinton traveled on that plane 27 times.
27.
He went to the island at least 9 times that I'm aware of.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, are you aware of the painting that was in the foyer of Epstein's New York apartment of Bill Clinton?
No, I don't think so.
So the painting was of Bill Clinton in Monica Lewinsky's blue dress, sitting with his legs out straight on a couch, big old smile on his face, and a stain on the dress.
Wow.
So of anybody who he has the most on, I bet you it's Clinton, because Clinton was a sleazebag.
Absolutely, yeah.
And
Well, you have to be pretty close with someone to have a picture of them in your apartment, right? Like,
yeah, it was a painting in a completely
painting made.
a painting made of him in a dress that was very scandalous of an action that happened in the Oval Office.
Yeah, and he's just laughing about it. It almost got him impeached.
But look, let's talk about Bill Clinton for a minute. We're talking about a guy who although he got off, he's pretty clearly that he raped Juanita Broderick. He was having at least oral sex with an 18-year-old intern in the office, probably in the Oval Office, probably more than that. He couldn't wait to do it at a later time. He's doing it while in the Oval Office.
Yep.
There's multiple other women and names that are escaping me right now. Paula
Jones
is one. But there's just tons of women who said he was a complete creep and completely inappropriate.
Oh, and 10 times that didn't come forward, right? Like,
I'm sure. If we know about those, what about the ones we don't know about?
Exactly.
And so, if that's the kind of guy you are, it'd be as opposed to Trump, who didn't party and was, he liked beautiful women, but he also liked them, to be of age.
Right.
It seems very different to me. Even though they both knew the guy, it would seem like Bill Clinton would be the easier one to entrap and get a bunch of blackmail on.
Absolutely.
So he gets arrested.
Well, did George W. have any play in all of this
I don't think so at all. No.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. W. Genius that he is.
Hey, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying he's smart enough to know to stay away from Jeffrey Epstein.
His wife probably didn't let him out the house.
Yeah.
So facing 45 years for these crimes he gets arrested of in the summer of 19.
45? Okay.
When they search his apartment, they uncover all kinds of nude photos of underage girls.
Yeah.
He pleads not guilty and is denied bail.
And they found some passport, right?
Yeah, there was, I don't know where.
They claimed that he was a Saudi citizen?
Austrian. I believe it was an Austrian passport.
Right.
I don't know if that was back in the 07 stuff or if that was more in this more recent stuff.
Oh, okay.
I'm not positive of it, but
I think it was found with all those pictures in a trunk or something.
Well, where do you keep your fake passport?
Yeah.
I mean,
wish I had one.
No kidding. Again, you have to be fairly connected to do those things, or just know criminals to have a fake passport.
Right.
And so, clearly the dude's into some illicit stuff.
Yeah.
So he's denied bail. Shortly thereafter, Alex Acosta resigns as this becomes a national story because he's the ones that gave him that sweet plea deal.
Mm-hmm.
There are these phone calls that he apparently made from the MCC in New York, which is one of the most notorious prisons. But even though all those calls are recorded, for some reason, his calls are not recorded. Very strange.
Yeah, I mean, it's just too many coincidences. You can call this a conspiracy theory all you want, but it's too much, man. And then I'll let you get to the other stuff.
Well, he's denied bail again. He tries again to get bail. It's denied. He's saying that he's trying to claim that his imprisonment is having an impact on his mental health, and the judge is like, "Yeah, right. Good luck, buddy. Staying in jail."
Yeah.
There's the first apparent suicide attempt, they say,
right.
Where he's found on the floor of his cell with a bed sheet stripped around his neck. He's placed on suicide watch and then transferred to the special housing unit with a cellmate in a cell closest to the corrections officer's desk.
Yeah. So at that point, there should be no way that he should be able to commit suicide.
The special housing unit is called among, if not the, most secure prison unit in the nation.
Yeah, there wasn't a single person that committed suicide in the last 25 years, right?
I think longer than that.
Yeah.
He appeared in federal court after that. No signs of the suicide attempt physically, nothing outwardly. That's July 31st. His next appearance is scheduled for October 8th. August 9th, 2,000 pages of previously sealed documents from the Virginia Jeffrey lawsuit against Ghislaine Maxwell are released, and it details sexual abuse by Epstein and associates. That same day, Epstein's cellmate, which you're supposed to have one there in the MCC, Special Housing Unit, is transferred and he doesn't get another cellmate.
That's not fishy at all.
It's one of the rules in there. You're supposed to have a cellmate.
Yeah, especially if you're on suicide watch, right?
Yeah. And so then he returns to his cell at 10 minutes to 8 after an attorney visit. By 10 p.m., the inmates are locked in their cells, and the guards, who later fell asleep, failed to perform the routine
both of them,
checks.
Right? Both of them fell asleep.
They were required to perform routine checks, which they did not do, which they falsified their records that they did, and they later recanted.
And the 3 cameras that were set up were faulty for, just randomly, all of a sudden.
The last movement on the cameras that we can see on that night is that one of the officers briefly approaches the door of his cell. Mm-hmm. And that's the last thing we see that night. In the morning, he's found dead in his cell. And then
hanged from the bottom bunk.
Hanged from the bottom bunk. Pronounced dead at the hospital. The official cause of death is suicide by hanging, as confirmed by the New York City chief medical examiner.
From what I saw, that there were a bunch of bones in his neck that were broken, that were not usually conclusive with a suicide, right, or with a hanging.
Yeah, there was some expert medical examiner who looked at that and said, basically, when those are broken, that's consistent with strangulation.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's the end of his story. But right after that, Ghislaine Maxwell
convincing suicide. Super convincing.
Suicided.
Yeah.
Ghislaine Maxwell is then arrested in July 2nd of 2020. And she's charged with a lot of the stuff around Epstein's sex trafficking. Mm-hmm. And she's later convicted and sentenced to 20 years in prison. So no light sentence there.
No. Still feels like 20's a little light, but at least it's that.
Hey man, 20's a long time.
Yeah, for sure.
For those crimes, I'm sure.
Well, you know what prisoners do to pederasts.
Yeah.
Even the female ones.
That's the basic story until recently it kind of did fade from public view for a while.
Yeah. Everybody's just like, "Oh, he didn't kill himself. Ha ha."
Right. But then as the election is approaching, you end up with all these talking heads. I mean, everybody in what's now known as alternative media is on the same page of Epstein did not kill himself. Nobody thinks that he did.
Yeah, left and right.
Yeah.
Same side on this.
Consensus. Including Kash Patel and Dan Bongino.
Yep, Pam Bondi.
Well, I don't know about Pam Bondi's public statements, but I know that Kash Patel multiple times.
Right? She was gung-ho.
I don't know. I really don't know what her statements were before on Epstein. But I know for certain that Kash Patel and Dan Bongino were like, never let go of the Epstein thing. We're going to release these files, all of this stuff.
Especially Patel, man. I'm really disappointed.
Yeah. What I do know about Pam Bondi is that she's made multiple conflicting statements after becoming the Attorney General.
Right. The most famous being, the list is on my desk, right?
Yeah, the list is on my desk.
Which, I mean, I take that for what you will.
And then they made a big show, they meaning her office and the White House, made a big show of releasing these binders to alternative media folks. And these binders had nothing in them but publicly known information. There was nothing new in them.
Right.
It was a sham. And then when the media pressure started to continue to build, her excuse was then, there's tens of thousands of hours of sexual assault video of children.
Yeah.
Tens of thousands of hours.
That's an alarming number, right? And now there's none?
Then a couple of weeks later, we get, he killed himself. That's it. End of story. And nothing further is going to come out on this. And everybody just freaks out.
Yeah, as they should.
And then recently, 2 different times, if I'm not mistaken, Trump has made statements that are like, can we just move on from this now?
Yeah. Yeah, like it's not a big deal.
And his instincts politically are usually pretty good.
Yeah.
But this is like the most obvious time he stepped in a pile of crap.
Yeah.
That drives apart his own base.
Right.
It's unbelievable that he continues to go with this.
Could have some serious repercussions down the road for the Republican Party. But it seems to me that somebody's got some dirt on him.
On Trump?
Yeah, and that's the only reason he's doing this, you know?
The funniest version of this...
Because he ran on this pretty hard, right? Like, we're going to figure out what happened to Epstein.
I don't know.
I remember saying a few things, but it wasn't like not pounding it down everybody's throat kind of thing.
No, it wasn't like a major issue like the border or anything like that. But but again, like talking about the missteps, it's like recently some reporter, he's standing in the Oval Office with Rubio, and Bondi, and some reporter starts asking Bondi about Epstein stuff again, and Trump jumps in and goes, "Are we still talking about this guy? Are we still talking about Epstein when we got this major disaster, this major flooding in Texas? You guys are really going to ask that question now?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. This guy's dead. Why are we still talking about this disgusting individual?" And he kind of is like hinting at Bondi, like, don't talk about it.
Yeah.
And turns to her and goes, "You can answer if you want," but and she goes, "Sure, I'll answer." So she like didn't even pick up what he was putting down.
Yeah.
He was like just telling her to like shut it down.
Right.
And she goes on to give another BS response.
Right.
And it doesn't make sense. And then it took a turn for the worse.
Like the flood was a distraction for this, right? Like,
well, yeah, I mean that's the old
act of God, obviously, but cloud seeding. There's a lot of
it's the old
a lot
Clinton,
of weird stuff going on there, but
it's the old Clinton philosophy of never let a good crisis go to waste. So, like, I mean, I don't want to distract from the floods,
right,
or anything like that with what we're talking about here.
No, it's a terrible, terrible thing, and we are definitely still praying for those people and those children that were missing and
who got
horrible
rain
deal.
again this week. Just crazy, but it took another turn. Trump was already stepping in a big pile, and then it took another turn today, in fact.
Mm-hmm.
Today, he comes out and starts saying, fake news, Russia, Russia, Russia. It's a plot by the Democrats. I mean, it is the farthest thing from a plot by the Democrats.
Yeah.
If
that's the case, release the files, man. Let's see them.
It's central.
You have the control.
It's central to a huge portion of the people who got him elected. This is a major issue.
Exactly. And these people are sick of it, you know. They still back Trump, but they're like, hey, if you don't have anything to do with this, you need to release this stuff.
I mean, I was a reluctant Trump voter.
Same.
I didn't vote for Trump the first two times. I voted third party like I have for years and years.
Mm-hmm.
Voted in protest for libertarian candidates. This time around, the libertarian candidate was a whack job. And then I really wanted to vote for Bobby Kennedy, and he joined Trump. And then when Doge stuff happened with Elon, I was like, okay, I guess I can vote for Trump because of these factors and how insanely bad Kamala is.
Yeah.
So that combination of factors got me to vote for him.
The whole Biden administration for the 4 years was just so awful, man.
It's terrible.
Ineffectual and just...
But this kind of thing makes me just jump right back off the train. I'm no longer a supporter, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I've seen some of the ardent Trump supporters making really, really ridiculous arguments.
Oh, just stupid, man. Like, if you have half a brain, you see right through it.
Yeah, one who happens to be a friend of mine sent me...
Shameless. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I won't say his name.
Yeah, he sent me a link to a Twitter thing, and he was like, this is how I feel. And the guy was like saying, well, they're probably not going to release this stuff because so many people that are in powerful positions would be torn down, that it would tear down all the trust in the institutions, and it would wreck our economy and all this kind of stuff. And
if they're covering up for a pedophile ring, like...
I answered with, I said, look, two things. I mean, immediate. I didn't even have to think about it. It was like, here's immediate two things. Number one, who trusts the institutions?
Yeah.
Nobody. And second,
nobody with a brain.
What is a good reason to cover up for people who kidnap, rape, torture, and murder children?
And if you have a single one, you're a bad person.
There is no excuse. You can't do it. And to this person's credit, when I said that, he goes, fair points.
Yeah.
So at least it was like he backed off that ledge. But I mean, come on.
Even the most extreme MAGA guys, they can't defend this, man. Like,
no, and I cannot even imagine who Trump is speaking to in his circle that thinks it's a good idea for him to try to tamp this down. All it's doing is enraging people.
That's what leads me to believe that he doesn't have a choice in the matter. You know,
what
he's being blackmailed, and we haven't talked about how Israel fits into all this yet.
Well,
and that's a lot of conjecture, but
I mean, the connections with Robert Maxwell are some of them.
And Wexler, right?
Oh yeah, we haven't really talked
about Wexler.
About Leslie Wexner, yeah. So Wexner is the founder and owner of Limited Brands, which runs brands like Abercrombie and Fitch and Victoria's Secret.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also called the father of the modern mall. It was a lot of his real estate dealings that brought in malls in the late 80s, early 90s, and he was really influential in the real estate deals that brought malls together.
Yeah.
And Abercrombie and Fitch and Victoria's Secret were always in the malls. And so that was like how he made his...
I lived through it.
we. That's how he made big money. But they became friends. Wexner and Epstein became friends in the early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point,
just kind of brought him on, right? And made him the CEO of the group. And
his wife, Leslie Wexner's wife, passed away, and so her board seat was open. And like in the beginning of their friendship, he put Epstein on the board.
Yeah.
And then shortly thereafter, he became his main financial advisor. And then shortly thereafter, again, he was given durable power of attorney by Wexner.
Yeah. So he could sign off on anything.
He could buy and sell properties. He could put money into whatever fund he wanted to. This is billions of dollars.
Yeah.
Billions of dollars.
And he didn't know him very well, so that makes me also think that maybe Epstein had something over him, you know?
Well, the previous financial manager of Wexner's funds basically stated that Wexner was not super financially literate. He was a great businessman.
Okay.
He was really good in the real estate stuff. He knew how to start companies. He was kind of a creative visionary and that kind of thing, but he wasn't really understanding the financial side that well. And he was also susceptible to someone who was very slick talking and could paint the picture like Epstein.
Right.
And so he kind of it seemed like he got roped in. But Virginia Giuffre implicated Wexner in some of the sexual stuff as well.
Okay.
And so it's like once Epstein got his claws in, it's like he figured out how to get a bunch of blackmail on him too, because that's the only reason that you could possibly say that Wexner would have signed all that stuff over to him. And then also after that, Wexner, through one of the front companies and shell companies that Epstein had, signed over the largest and most expensive Manhattan apartment in New York.
Yeah, $70 million back then.
He handed it over to him for $0.
Yeah.
No money.
That doesn't make any sense at all.
And so Wexner was heavily involved in, it's hard to say heavily involved, but he was very much related to Israeli intelligence through what's called the MEGA organization.
Right.
And MEGA was heavily involved in Jewish affairs in the States. And MEGA was also was started by Wexner, other influential Jewish folks, also the Bronfman family, who is in charge, or not in charge, but owned Seagram's. And so it's really, really wealthy Jewish families that started it.
Mm-hmm.
And those ties are also what people linked Epstein to the Mossad over.
Right.
So if big portions of the money that you're able to get your hands on is all tied up within Jewish affairs, I mean, it just by implication, again, circumstantially, would seem to tie you to Mossad.
Yeah.
But his rise in all of these different places, the Dalton School job, Bear Stearns job, being promoted so quickly in Wexner's empire.
Yeah. It all seems very similar.
Managing money for people, calling himself a financial bounty hunter.
Bounty hunter.
I mean, how do you get in position to do those things when you don't have the formal education and you've never made trades with companies or public entities that anybody would know? And when you trade that kind of money on those big scales, it all has to be public information.
Yeah.
And so if you have none of that acumen, none of that history,
right? Who's going to trust you with that much money?
It just lends itself to saying that somebody else is the source of the power. And
yeah, for sure.
It's intelligence or it's organized crime, and in this case, it would just appear more to be intelligence.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a connection in the mega group to Myra Lansky, like we kind of mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
But it would just seem more plausible and more, because of the political connections, it would seem like intelligence would be way more wanting to be involved than organized crime. And there was rumors, like you kind of mentioned earlier, that people with like $600 million would approach him for investments, and he's like, I don't deal with that unless you have $1 billion.
Yeah. It's just like, how are you making these demands?
It doesn't make any
ludicrous.
sense. Like I also heard it said that somebody, I think it was Gerald Cooper, said, if you had $600 million to invest and you went to Goldman Sachs, the CEO would come downstairs and escort you to his office and tell you about why you should invest with Goldman Sachs. And the biggest companies would wine and dine you for investing $600 million.
Exactly, yeah.
And Jeffrey Epstein's scoffing at it?
Yeah.
That tells you it's not about the money.
No. Nor is it about being on the level, right? Like he didn't want...
No, it's about influence.
Probably didn't want as many people on his books because, his gig would have probably been up,
Yeah. I mean, money's one form of influence, but power takes many forms, and making people do what you want them to do is another form.
And he was obviously bankrolled by somebody else, right? I mean, seems that way. Anyway.
Epstein?
Yeah.
Most people think that that's mostly Wexner's money.
Right. Well, and Wexner also owned Victoria's Secret. That was another interesting little...
Yeah, and there was plenty of people in...
That's kind of how he got into the girls, right?
Well, there was plenty of people in the limited corporation which oversaw Victoria's Secret who made accusations against Epstein.
Deaf ears, yeah.
But he also threw himself out there as a Victoria's Secret model talent scout. It was one of the ways that he would get girls to pay attention to him or get under his influence.
Right.
I mean, all you really have to do is get him in the door. And then who knows what you can do once you have them behind closed doors. It's gross to think about.
Well, and what was the Frenchman who had the modeling company?
Oh yeah,
Jean-Luc Brunel.
Yeah, Jean-Luc Brunel. He was a friend of Epstein's throughout the 90s.
Yeah,
and he had various modeling agencies, and he was always connected with. Being accused of inappropriate acts with the models and drugging and raping of models and all this kind of stuff. And they were like best buds. He was also
suicided.
Conveniently died of a apparent suicide that was hanging inside of a jail cell.
In prison, yeah. There's too many coincidences here. I mean, it's just...
How many suspicious suicides can there be before we say that they're not suicides?
Right. Because, I mean, even if that is something that happens, it's like a 1 in a million chance. And if you have 10 1 in a million chances back to back to back, like, it's not statistically possible.
So, let's take a half a step back here from the specifics of Epstein. And why would our intelligence agencies want to be involved with somebody like him? What would their purposes be?
I mean, I kind of saw it as, and I mean, everybody's talking about this Israel blackmail ring, but it makes sense to me. Like, he's hanging out with all these powerful people. Get some dirt on them. We'll use it for our own benefit, kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I think, too. It's like, we get a new president every 4 years. Right? And the intelligence agencies and others that are more permanently in government, which some people refer to as the deep state or the permanent state, there's this idea that the president gets going and doing too many things that they don't like. And I think it was Vladimir Putin that actually said, a president gets going on too many things and the men in suits come walking into the office and let him know who really runs the country.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really an influence game on that level. It's like
right.
The intelligence agencies believe that they're the ones that run the country.
Yeah.
And if you can get people like Epstein to have dirt on some of the most powerful people in a lot of different powerful places,
gives you influence.
It gives you a massive amount of influence.
And power. And that's the whole thing. It's like, I don't see, like, knowing what we know about Trump, doesn't make sense that he's just acting like this is not a big thing, right? Like, he knows better than that. I feel like they definitely got some dirt on him somehow.
Yeah, I think it's really spread out. I mean, like, I think that Epstein's one that's come to the surface because he was sloppy and
right.
not really good at what he did, really and truly. I think that this type of operation, not necessarily with sexual blackmail, but just blackmail in general, is pervasive throughout our entire government apparatus. And so the intelligence agencies want power.
Yeah.
And one of the ways that you make sure that you have power is that you make sure that there's conflict around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so by making sure that there's conflict around the world, you ensure that the military-industrial complex gets to sell their weapons.
Right.
And you make sure that your services of quote-unquote intelligence are needed.
Yeah.
And so that has the effect of centralizing their power even more and making sure that they're staying in the game as far as their influence being needed, because there's so much conflict. They have to be depended upon to tell the government, the official government leaders what's going on.
Right. It's crazy to think about.
We had the Pike and Church commissions back in the 70s that really reined in the CIA, because they got way out of control. They went from the OSS to the CIA, and they got crazy during Korea and Vietnam. They were doing all kinds of stuff. And there's
under Hoover.
Well, Hoover's an FBI, but
oh yeah, sorry.
But if you've heard about Air America and the heroin trade that was going on from Vietnam back to the States and all that kind of stuff, all that stuff was CIA.
Mm-hmm.
Iran-Contra, all that stuff was CIA.
Right.
And that's what happened. Why the Pike and the Church committees were undertaken, and they really got reined in, and their power really got pulled back quite a bit at that point from those commissions. But then 9/11 happened.
Yeah.
And then the Patriot Act. And hey, we have this global war on terror, and if we don't do everything that we can do to fight it, they're gonna
completely unchecked too. Like
the gloves
do
were
what
off.
you will. Yeah.
I mean, we were torturing people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I believe the guy's name is John Kiriakou, if I'm not mistaken, who was the only CIA agent who ever did time around that whole scandal, and he's the one that blew the whistle on it. And that's why he did time.
Yeah. That's pretty telling.
Yeah, I mean, CIA is just completely out of control. We've had nothing that brings them to bear, like nothing that checks them in this whole time. And I think that is the reason that it's being buried, is because they have dirt on all kinds of people through all different kinds of avenues and different types of blackmail.
So what does the CIA gain from keeping this a secret? Epstein's whatever intelligence he has to give or to spill.
I think if it all comes to light, open discovery in court is a heck of a thing. And it blows open their methods of operation and how they go about their business.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows what else it blows open. And so I think it's
more of the implication of them doing things than them actually being responsible. Is that what you're saying? Like how they run? the show?
I'm saying that their blackmail operations are all over the place, and when you when you peel back the first layer, do you get to the second layer, to the third layer, to the fourth layer? I think that's what scares
them. So they don't want that process to start.
They don't want that process to start.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
But it leads me to a place where we've already kind of talked about in some previous episodes of the effect of keeping us in forever war, the effect that it has on the American people.
Yeah.
Our intelligence agencies have set up a structure where they and their friends continue to get rich off of forever war through the military-industrial complex and their investments and money funneling back to them in that avenue, which has the combined effect of allowing countries to export to our shores and our markets free of charge for the trade-off of having military bases in their countries.
Right.
And so Trump is a little bit of a thorn in their side with the tariffs thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
But it's that structure of trading military bases for open markets and all that kind of stuff has had an unbelievably terrible effect on our country, in our economy, our inflation, on monetization. Like, this is forever war is why they have to keep creating and more currency, which devalues the dollar,
right,
and makes it so the younger generation will never be able to buy a house. We have all these laws in place now that allow corporations to continue to benefit. I think this layers of blackmail is why our congressional representatives are completely unwilling to do anything that shuts down corporate power and anything that benefits the American people truly.
Yeah. And isn't that the saddest? I mean, the people in power are afraid to do it.
I mean, it's admittedly quite a leap to connect all of that to Epstein. But yeah. I think Epstein is that first layer on the onion.
Yeah.
If that were to be peeled back and the discovery was to happen in open court and everything was to be broadcast with no redactions and all that kind of stuff,
yeah,
I think that we would see how awful it is.
Man, that's a great point. And a lot of people get lost in the minutia of like who's on the list. But what you're talking about is way bigger than who's on the list.
Way bigger than that. I mean, if I'm president today, I pardon Julian Assange immediately.
Yes, thank you.
I pardon, what's the other guy that did the, he's the one that dug up all the information that got to WikiLeaks. God.
Yeah, I can't remember his name. I know who you're talking about.
I can't believe I can't produce the name. I'll think of it in a minute. But there's those two I'd pardon immediately. If I'm in that, king for a day type of seat, I make it where corporations cannot own single family homes beyond like 1% of their holdings.
Yeah.
I mean, corporations are buying up every single family home out there. And that's one of the things that's driving prices through the absolute roof.
Yeah, because they don't have to sell.
They don't.
They can sit on it.
And they don't care if people rent them or not. It just drives up prices, drives up inflation.
It's insane, man, especially like in the big cities, because they just buy these big blocks and, either you pay your $30,000 a month rent or, it just sits there, which is insane.
People talk about term limits.
Mm-hmm.
Term limits would be all right. They'd help some. But I also think that it would help a lot more if we were forcing Congress to do one issue bills.
Yeah. And people make the argument that both is not possible.
Absolutely, it's possible.
I don't see why not, man.
And there's a bunch of other things too. Like, I would be doing huge corporate reforms on their ability to own each other. Corporations owning each other.
Yeah.
Like, there should be a certain percentage. I'm no expert on this stuff, but there has to be a certain percentage that should have to be actually publicly owned.
Yeah.
Not by hedge funds, not by other corporations. It should have to be individual people.
Yeah.
That would make the stock market a little bit more fair.
For sure.
I don't know if you're familiar with the work of Ian Carroll and how he breaks that down and shows the charts of like all these companies that own each other. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, I've seen it. I mean, I'm not like well versed in it or anything, but I've seen it. It's mind blowing.
It's insane.
Yeah,
and you start.
There's really like 7 big companies that own everything.
Everything.
Right? Yeah,
everything. And when you get to that kind of a deal, I mean, we need a new era of antitrust, big time.
Absolutely, man.
Big time.
Absolutely. And I mean, there's so much stuff. How is Nancy Pelosi not in jail for insider trading? Like,
my God,
this is insanity. I mean,
yes, that's the one I forgot. Ban all members of Congress from being able to trade individual stocks,
and that's just a no-brainer,
right?
How is that not done?
Are you aware of the Twitter handle called Unusual Whale? I think it's Unusual Whales that tracks her stock trades.
And they make the same moves that she makes.
The same moves she makes, and they make a bunch of money. Do you know who's number 2?
I need to get on that, man.
You know who's number 2
like,
in
why
Congress?
Not take advantage of that? Who's that?
It's Texas Rep.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Ted Cruz?
Republican.
No, not Ted Cruz?
No.
Greg Abbott?
Dan Crenshaw.
Oh, Crenshaw. Damn it.
Old eye patch.
Man. When he first caught some traction, I liked old Dan Crenshaw. But,
I thought I did too.
Yeah, but a lot of come out on him. So.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, he's a... I hate talking about veterans, but he's a scumbag.
Yeah. It ain't about him being a veteran. It's about him being a scumbag.
Yeah. I mean, trust is at an all-time low, I think, with politicians.
Oh, yeah. And that makes me beg the question more and more is like, why don't we drain the swamp? Why don't we
That's what Trump
vote for the
on.
third-party candidate?
Well, it's
why
coming.
not? Like,
it's coming.
I think when our parents die, that's the only time it'll happen. Because until that happens, like those people are just going to vote blue or red, no matter what. I mean, it's just deep-seated.
2028 might be one presidential election early, but it's going to happen in 28 or it's going to happen in 32 where a third party is going to win.
I hope to God so, man.
Yeah,
I really do, because something's got to change.
It's bad, man.
Yeah.
I can count on one hand the members of Congress that I trust.
Yeah.
Can you name any? Because I've got my list.
Not really.
Thomas Massey.
Okay.
He's one. And Trump is making the foolish mistake of trying to run him out because Thomas Massey doesn't just sign off on everything that Trump does.
Like, that's another thing about Trump.
He was against the big, beautiful bill.
Yeah, big and beautiful.
So he's
Although I just
Massey.
found out today, real quick, sorry to interrupt, but I found out today that something in that big, beautiful bill is actually going to help me with my own business being 1099. It's going to help me not have to pay a bunch of taxes, so that's nice.
Oh, certainly. There's some things in there that are good. I'm not saying it's all bad.
Yeah.
But, again, it's one of those things that because it's lumped into this gigantic omnibus bill. But Thomas Massey's one. I think Rand Paul's one that's honest.
Yeah, I like Rand Paul.
I think that Justin Amash is one who's honest. Justin Amash is a Palestinian. He used to be a Republican. He's now an independent.
Okay.
Because he just thinks both major parties are full of crap.
Yeah.
But he really is a truth speaker for sure. And the other one's a Democrat, my last one, who I actually like. I don't know if he's all the way truthful, but he seems to cut across and not play the partisan crap all the time anyway.
Okay.
And that's Ro Khanna. You know who that is?
I don't think so.
Yeah, Ro Khanna's pretty good, man. I like him.
Okay.
Because he even gives Trump credit where it's due on different things, unlike all the rest of them.
That's a big thing for the Democrats.
Huge, huge. I mean, because your other leadership, Hakeem Jeffries, other folks, they just can't do it. Nancy Pelosi can't do it. There's nothing that he does. And like we've kind of mentioned before, their entire policy is, I'm not Trump. Anti-Trump anything.
And in their defense, it's just like a hatred of him. It's like a genuine hatred. And I get that. But that's not a way for an adult who's in a political stance should act.
Yeah, I don't care for the guy.
I don't either. But I'm not thinking with my heart. I'm thinking with my brain.
Right.
And I still think Trump is the better of two evils, and he's done more for me already than Kamala would have done.
That's probably the part that pisses me off the most is when you start trying to discuss these things with people that are partisan on both sides. Because we say the kind of things that we just said here. Like, we don't care for the guy, but he's the lesser of two evils. The partisans on the right will be like, well, would you rather have Kamala?
Yeah,
You'd rather have Kamala? And it's like, no, certainly didn't say that. And then people on the left are going to go, well, he's the most corrupt politician we've ever had.
The only felon. That's for another time.
Yeah, definitely. What else? Anything? Did we miss anything on Epstein?
Man, I'm trying to think. I just think it's such a strange issue because we know all of this. Everyone knows all of this, but I feel like we can't do anything about it. You know?
Yeah. That helpless feeling is probably. It's not the worst because we talked about some of the implications for our economy and stuff like that. But that helpless feeling, it removes people from the process, from the democratic process. It makes people lose faith that they have any chance of a fair shot
absolutely
in a fair shake and a fair game. Oh, I remember one thing about Epstein I didn't mention.
Okay.
So Eric Weinstein is one of my favorite public intellectuals. He's a mathematician, physics guy. He worked for, I think he still works for Peter Thiel in some format as far as like market analysis and running numbers for the market.
We forgot the Thiel Epstein connection that I sent you earlier, but we'll probably talk about that somewhere else.
Well, I don't know it, so you can run on it if you got it. But so at some point, Epstein reaches out and wants a meeting because of his connection in managing Thiel's money. Mm-hmm. And so Weinstein goes to his apartment in New York City, and immediately, right when he gets there, he's like, hackles her up, and he's like, this is stupid and weird. So he goes into some like foyer waiting room, and there's some odd piece of art that's there in the waiting room, and he's like, there's an obvious camera in it. He's like, it's not hidden well. You know, it's like, so you want people to know right away they're being filmed. And so it's like,
yeah,
what's going on here? And she says, so it makes me wait an uncomfortable amount of time. It was like, 25 minutes. We have an appointment here, and you're making me wait while I can see that I'm being filmed here. And so then he brings him into this like large dining room table area, and on the table, used for a tablecloth, is the American flag.
Wow.
And he's like, okay, I'm pissed. Disrespectful. I love my country. You don't eat and drink on the flag. Okay? And he's like already pissed off. Right? And so he's like ready to just eject from this meeting right away. And then while they're trying to have a conversation about financial matters, throughout, multiple young girls in almost no clothing are coming in and sitting on Epstein's lap and like playing with him, and like they're trying to talk to him, and he's like, get off me, go away, go get away from me.
Which is an act too, right? Seems like.
Well, no, Epstein's all into it, and he's trying to like offer the girls to Weinstein, and Weinstein.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
And Weinstein's like, no, thank you, go away.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And he says within a few minutes, he understands really quickly that Epstein doesn't even know what he's talking about when it comes to these financial matters. Yeah. He's like, this guy's not a traitor. He's like, we're sitting here talking about these normal things, and he can't even keep up in the conversation.
Yeah. And
so he left there like walking out going, what in the world did I just experience? What was that?
He's a placeholder. He's not.
And so he referred to Epstein from that point on as a construct.
Yeah. He's just there to be the guy. He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Yeah.
Which further, I mean, again, all this is circumstantial, but it leads you to think that he's in with intelligence because of that creation, formulation to make it look like he's a financial guy when he's really not.
And to have that much money and not know anything about money, it's got to be a front,
It's definitely a front. And so Weinstein has about an hour and a half podcast on that meeting with Epstein. It's on his channel.
Okay, that sounds
I'd forgotten about that. It's on his channel. He had a podcast for a short time, and he, around the COVID stuff, stopped posting on it because he didn't want to get his channel shut down.
Okay.
And so that's one of the still up. It's one of the episodes that's still up. And his is called the Portal is the name of his podcast.
The Portal. Okay.
Yeah, and so anybody who's interested in that, you can check that out. It's pretty amazing the way he talks about that meeting with Epstein. It's crazy.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
And then, did you want to talk about Teal? Because I don't know what you're exactly talking about there.
I don't really know much. I mean, I watched that our friend with the Fisher hat, the Asian guy that does the videos.
Oh, James Lee.
Yeah. I haven't really done a deep dive.
Was that about the Promise? Was he talking about?
Yeah, it was Promise.
Yeah, he was talking about Promise and Epstein's involvement. But I don't really,
which we kind of touched on a little bit, but we could totally do a deep dive on that.
We could. For people that want to know more about Epstein, another podcast I'd recommend is the Martyr Made podcast. Did a 3-part series.
Yeah, that was
super deep background there.
Very enlightening. Yeah.
And if you really want to nerd all the way out, Whitney Webb has 2 volumes called One Nation Under Blackmail that are all about basic intelligence ties to blackmail, and Epstein's a big part of that.
Okay.
Those are probably the most nerdy, footnoted, in-depth books you could ever get on why our nation is upside down. I have not read them, but I've listened to a lot of Whitney Webb on different podcasts and stuff like that, and those books are way up there on my reading list. I don't own them yet, but I will.
I'd have to get the audiobooks for those for sure.
Yeah, they're insane. Just listening to her talk, she's like the perfect nerd. It's amazing. She looks like a nerd. She talks like a nerd. She's got the little round glasses. She lives in South America somewhere because she doesn't trust our government with the stuff she talks about.
Oh, wow. Because the South American governments are better, right?
It's like...
I'm just kidding.
It's like Bolivia or like... I don't remember where it's at, but it's like way down there.
One of the less crazy ones.
Yeah. So... but there's so much out there on that topic. If you want to get more into it, there's definitely stuff to check out.
There is, and I think both of us kind of got exhausted studying up for this episode.
Oh...
Just because, I mean, there's so much more that we haven't even touched on. But I think we laid out a good timeline. Hopefully people get the gist of what's really...
The timeline's important, but I want to point people to like what it means, the implications.
Yeah.
That peeling back of the layers of what's behind it and why intelligence would work with somebody like Jeffrey Epstein and what it means for our nation.
Right.
I mean, we are supposed to be, according to the rhetoric of this nation that got us started, we're supposed to be that shining city on a hill. We're supposed to be the example for the rest of the world. And morally, we are not at this time.
Yeah, just the implication that intelligence would have the idea to fund Epstein is terrifying, right?
It's the ends that always justify the means,
Right.
They don't care who it hurts as long as they have their influence and power.
Yeah.
And that's just disgusting. They've got to be reined in.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I know you mentioned it, and I don't even know the depth of it, but there's really nothing stopping them. There's nothing keeping them in check, right? Like,
at this moment, no. I mean, the change in tune of Cash Patel and Dan Bongino from before they were in to now is like a crazy 180.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I was excited about what they were talking about. They were going to clear house. They were going to, make America great again. And then they just flip-flopped, just like that.
Cash Patel says, I'm going to shut down the Hoover building on day 1.
Yeah.
And you know what he's done instead? They've got a bigger building they're planning on moving into in D.C.
Yeah.
And his claim was he was going to have the FBI solve crimes again. That's what he was touting, and it's right back to all this institutional crap, is what it appears from his perspective.
And if they can't show us different, then that's what I'm going to believe, because it seems that way.
$45 billion to ICE in the big beautiful bill.
That is insane, dude. That is insane, because I feel like that stuff's already fizzled out.
I'm pretty sure that their previous budget was $2 billion.
Yeah. That's insane.
I mean...
And I would like to track that money to see where it actually goes, right? Because it's not all going to go to ICE. That's too much money, right?
That's a lot.
I mean... I wish there was a way to just track that, but...
It would be very difficult.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what we got on Epstein.
Yeah.
What are we talking about? We're talking about corruption.
Corruption.
We're talking about
And our inability to do much about it at the present time.
It's kind of a bummer. I don't want to end on a bummer, but I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah. And just think, like, everybody knows about Epstein. Yeah. But how many other things are going on that we don't know about?
No doubt. All right. Until next time.
Till next time. Later, guys.
Later. All right, I have a flash drive before I close it out.